Welcome back to another installment of The Mental Mix. First off, I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. The first one that we did was such a major success, and not even in terms of the amount of people that were able to register and come out, but just the overall feel and the impact that I know that it made for brothers whenever they left this space. We got a lot of messages about when is the next one, resources and links to some of the panelists that were here before. So we, again, thank you you could have been anywhere else in New York City, especially on Juneteenth weekend, because yes, a lot of stuff going on this weekend, but you chose to be here this evening, and I want to say thank you. And we're back again for another installment of prioritizing our mental health and well-being. So again, this is a space for us to connect, communicate, and collaborate about the prioritization of our mental health and well-being. So what that means is, outside of just this panel, you have an opportunity to connect with brothers who come from various backgrounds, whether they're fitness instructors, models, actors, financial analysts, teachers, brothers like myself who are therapists. Again, we come from all walks of life. So connect with a brother that you don't know this evening. By the time the panel is over, you'll have an opportunity to do so. And again, we just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Last time we started this session off, we opened it up with some poetry, very powerful, impacting poetry. And I was so grateful for that. And I wanted to try to do something different each time we open up one of these sessions. So this time we are going to have a brother here who is an active healing specialist, a breathwork specialist. He does a lot of work in the community with youth. And to his friends, he's known as Avatar Shamir, but I was just introduced as Shamir. So I'm gonna introduce this brother and allow him to come up. So please welcome Avatar Shamir, brother. Thank you, brother. I'll let you take it from here.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having me, Tony. Thank you for everybody else who was involved in this whole process. I want to start by saying I belong to you. You guys are all my family, ladies as well. You know, we're all, whether it's the Universal family, the Black family, the Brooklyn family. I'm here from by way of Flatbush and teaching in Long Island right now, but Brooklyn's home, so it's really good to be here. Again, I'm grateful, honestly, to be able to do this, to be able to do God's work, but the intention of the day is to share some tools, some stress management tools. As men, especially men of color, we don't really know how to manage our stress too well. We don't know how to manage our emotions too well, and I believe that it's simply from a lack of emotional intelligence, if that makes any sense. We lack the tools, we lack the skills, and we know how to be strong, we know how to be tough, we know how to push, but we need to seek balance, and balance is located on the other end. You know, we know how to express outward, but what about that inward expression? You know, one of my elders said the word joy one time, and I thought to myself, joy is not even in my vocabulary. I just want to be happy. There's other words, other things that vibrate higher than joy, but we have to de-stress, if that makes sense. So just a little bit of my background, teaching in Long Island. I've been teaching for about 6 years now, educator in Freeport High School, and I've been teaching martial arts for going on 2 decades now. So I took the information from both of those units, combined them to my own sage art to be able to provide my people with the proper tools for us to be able to evolve and get to the next level of life. We've been at this point for too long, and now it's time for us to get to where we gotta go. So I'll start off with a simple understanding of the breath. Why the breath? You know, we're breathing right now. What makes it so special? What is a breath coach? You know, our breath is the most intimate connection that we have to life, right? How do we breathe when we're angry? How do you breathe when you're excited or when you're happy? Hold on, is that little Johnny? Hey, we taking that big load of air. Why? I got all this energy to give out now. So with just those 2 examples, we can see that there's a correlation between our emotions and our breath, but we're used to using it one way, right? I'm telling you guys directly, you can choose your emotion. We can choose the way that we want to feel based on our breath. And the techniques that we're going to go over today, we do them all naturally. We just do them unintentionally. We do them unconsciously, rather. So there's nothing mystical that I'm teaching. If anything, my primary intention is to demystify all the confusions, all the names, because a lot of times these things can have a feeling in your mind that makes you feel like it's too grand. I can't do that. I need to make time for that. If we start looking at more of the science of what it is rather than the mysticism of what it is, we'll get to where we got to go. Because again, we're doing these things anyway, right? So let's start off with a simple breath right now. If everybody wouldn't mind in the audience, and those of you at home as well, just making sure your feet are nice and firmly planted to the ground. If your cell phone is on your being, if you could put your cell phone down for a little bit. Those in the back, if you're not participating, if you can please just honor the space. I'm a big, firm believer in collective energy. So even the smallest thought, the smallest distraction could take somebody off. And with these practices, they're very healing, and you never know who in the room really needs it at this moment, So in simple, making sure your feet are firmly planted, back is straight. You can have the hands placed on the knees if need be. If not, maybe a little further back with your elbows down, and we'll just relax. So I want everybody in the audience to take a deep breath in right now. Let that go. Now, about 90% of the room, chest went up, right? It's improper breathing. God blessed us with primary engine and a secondary engine. So this chest breathing is maybe for swimming, maybe for quick bursts, maybe if I'm boxing, if I want to shoot a little quick jab. But other than that, we have this whole diaphragm to breathe from. So let's take the second approach by taking our right hand, placing it on the stomach, and it's just simply there just to feel the rise and the fall of the stomach. We'll take another breath in, nice and softly. And now letting the air out of your nose, feel your stomach somewhat collapse towards your spine. Another breath in. Let that go. Another breath in. Belly button towards the spine. And just simply relax, just simply remove your hand. If you want to close your eyes, you can. It's a much better experience. Just take a moment just to check in. And just notice now, how is my breath already? Is it calm? Is it cool? Is it warm? Is it shallow? Again, your breath is a determining factor of where you are currently. Let's do another round of that. We'll take the same hand, placing it on the stomach. But now we're going to take a softer breath. The softer the breath, the more oxygen you're allowed to take in. Oftentimes you take a deep breath, and what do? I want to take a nice soft breath to really invigorate. And the air is traveling from the nose to the bottom and back up. So take your time, visualize the breath and feel. Hands on the gut, right hand down, palm facing down or up, whatever feels comfortable for you. We'll take that breath in. Out the nose, we're going to let it go. Empty the air. Once you feel that stop, breathe in. Breathe out. The incoming breath is energizing the body. The outgoing breath relaxes the body. One more round on your own pace. Nice and full, nice and complete, going both ways, emptying out the air. And once you're done, you can simply rest your arms, keeping your eyes closed, and I challenge you to be as still as you can. Now, the mind has a tendency to vacillate between the past and the future. We spend too much time in the past. We bring in a sense of depression because we're replaying those moments. And once we attach our present emotions to those feelings, then we bring it from the past to the present, and now that creates depression. Same thing works on the other end. The mind has the ability to vacillate to the future. And we start worrying and concerned about what's going on there. Once we take our current emotions and blend them into emotions that haven't happened or that have already passed, we bring them to the moment, and they create either anxiety or depression. Once again, notice your breath. Notice where your breath is now. Beautiful. Eyes open. Does anybody want to share how they feel? Anybody feel any different? No, not much changes. There's nothing magical about it, but the state of our mind is definitely changing. Does anybody notice the room is a little brighter? A little bit, right?
I'm more relaxed.
Definitely more relaxed.
I'm calm.
Definitely more calm, because we allow the full body, our whole body breathes, but that's a whole nother segment. Going into our second breath now. This one is called bellows breath. If you ever seen the old movies where they had that little fan for the fire pit to keep the fire going up, pit or gut is like a source of fire. So with this technique, it's going to be a simple inhale, bringing the arms up, closing the hands, bringing the elbow close together, and breathing out. Breathing in, closing. Breathing in, closing. We'll go for a round of 6 and then immediate relax. All right, so arms down, we'll start fresh. Back firmly straight. Eyes open or closed, whichever one feels more comfortable. Starting with the hands to the side, fingers open, nice and relaxed. Take that breath in, out. Breathe in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Last one, in, nice and full. Out, and relax. As small and short, as simple as that was, it's a lot of work to the body. Just take notice what's happening. Just be a witness to what's happening. Resist the urge to want to tick, to want to move. Your mind is already doing that. Bellows breath is a breath that's used to invigorate the lungs and give you a little bit of extra energy. They call it yogic coffee in India in certain places. So if you're somebody who's trying to get off a coffee or just need a little boost of energy, there's small little things you can do throughout your moment in the car, in the bathroom, just to give yourself that natural boost, all right? Our second breath, I want to make sure to honor our time. Our third breath. I'm going to call this a relaxed ocean breath. So this one in particular, the technique is going to happen from the back of the throat. So I want you guys to hear the sound that I'm making. So it sounds close to a snore, but it's not the deathly snore. It's that right in between when the person's leaning off a little bit, you peek by, like, is he sleeping? Yeah, he's knocked out. It's that one right there. So again, the breath is coming in through the nose, but it's affecting the nerve in the back of your throat called the vagus nerve. Whenever that nerve is agitated, it sends an immediate signal to the heart to calm and relax you. This is something you can use right in front of somebody's face. During a meeting, you can use it at any moment to relax you, to calm you, and bring you back to that neutral center. So we'll start by whispering the word hello. 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 Now we're going to drop the word and just feel that breath. Third step, close the lips, same thing, as if we're saying hello with our mouths closed. Now that same breath going out, we're going to do the same thing going in. We'll take a second to practice to make sure everybody has it at their best. Once again, whispering the word hello. 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 Just the air now. Close the mouth as the air comes out. Now the same thing going inward, and that's what makes that sound. Close the eyes. Keeping the focus on the stomach, making sure the stomach is going out, your belly button is going away from you as you breathe in. And upon your exhale, the belly button goes closer to the spine. Continue your rounds on your own pace, breathing in. Out. Your own pace. I'm just guiding those at home, breathing in and out. It doesn't have to be perfect. Whatever you do is perfect. Breathe in. Out. We'll do 3 more, breathing in. Out. In. Out. Last breath in, nice and full, but soft. And the last one out, exhausting the breath. Once you're done, return back to normal breathing. And again, just take note of where you are. Breath work is a great precursor to meditation. The meditation is simply the art of doing nothing. There's different forms of meditation. Sweeping could be in meditation. There's some people, for running is a meditation, swimming, but the actual meditation that we all know about is the art of doing nothing, allowing the mind to just be. Coming back to reality, opening the eyes. Any feedback? Anybody want to share how they feel? It's all good. Silence is allowed. Bonus breath. This breath here, I'll call it a straw breath. We're going to take a breath in through the nose and breathe out softly through the lips as if we're breathing out of a small coffee straw. I'll demonstrate 2. Breathing in and out. Once I feel that halt, I breathe in. Small hole at the lips, breathing out. Please join me on the next one. Breathe in, nice and soft. And breathe out. Keeping the emphasis on the belly, breathe in. Elongate the breath out. Take your time, not rushing the breath, just providing a pathway for the breath to exit. Breathe in. Out. Allow your mind to ease. Breathe in. And out. Allow yourself to melt into your seat. Relax your shoulders. We'll take a last breath in. Hold it. And when your body permits, let that go. Elongating the breath for at least 10 seconds. Once you're done, we'll take about 30 seconds to be still as you can. Allow the mind just to be. The mind is like traffic. Just watch the cars go by. Just don't jump in. Some cars go left to the past, some cars go right into the future. We're the most powerful in the present. Breathwork helps us to be in the present. Present with ourselves, present with our minds, present in the moment. We'll do a slight body scan, and then we'll come back, keeping the eyes closed. Close your eyes if you will. Just starting with the toes. You don't have to move them. Just bring a little slight awareness to the toes, the pinky toes, all the way up to the middle toe, the big toe, the bottom of your foot, your ankles. Once again, using your mind, working your way up to your shins, your calves, your knees, quads, hamstrings, your trunk, your lower extremities, your navel, your belly button, your stomach that houses all your organs. Let's take a breath in for our stomach and breathe out. Working our way up the spine, to the ribs, chest, up to the shoulders, rounding down to the biceps, triceps, forearms, wrists, the hands as a whole, each individual finger, thumb, index, middle, ring, pinky. Working our way back up, back to the shoulders, to the neck, the head as a whole, the ears. Notice the sensation in your ears, your lips, your eyes, and lastly the nose. We'll take a final breath in, nice and strong, fellas. And with a soft breath, let that go out the nose and open your eyes. Any feedback on this? It's all good. So as I mentioned, all these breaths that we did, we do them normally. When we're tired, when we're angry, when we are frustrated. It's there, right? When we need to decompress and we're a little overloaded, just in a moment to hold, just give me a second, all right, now I'm ready, all right? When we're sleeping, that particular breath, that ocean breath, it's very powerful. When we are sleeping, that breath activates because our digestion is the process that takes the most energy from our body. So your mind is intelligent enough, and the body, to make sure that you're totally knocked out, to make sure this process can happen properly. But it has a profound effect when you do it awake and consciously. So I share this gift to you all. As I mentioned, I belong to you all. And I hope that somebody was able to get something out of this, whether it be here in front of me or at home. If not, this is recorded, so it's here forever. And again, thank you all. I want to take a little moment just to promote 2 products. I gave you guys something for the spirit. And to me, spirit is simply breath, the unseen, right? For the mind, my brother Q the Boss, Q the Boss 516 on all social media platforms. This is his book, The Art of Reprogramming the Mindset, and very powerful book. I just wanted to read a small little portion out of it because once I found out about the Gentleman's Factory, all I thought about was this book. So this small space right here, he reads, this is a conversation he was having while incarcerated with a Muslim brother. He taught me. He talked with me as a peer. For the first time, a man took time to spend time with me, to teach me, to input into my life, an attempt to ensure that I never came back to this place. He made me feel comfortable. He taught me that men can be vulnerable at times. He taught me that men have feelings. However, society tells us that men should be strong and not feel this, and just be a masculine being. More men, if they express themselves, would have fewer issues. So many men are trying to prove their masculinity. You're not weak just because you feel or because you fail. You're human. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. Anywhere books are found. Second product for the body. My brother Andre, Sundial, 538 Jerusalem Avenue, Uniondale, New York. This is one of my favorite roots or bushes for those of my Caribbean family, Caribbean friends, Caribbean nation. Jack in the bush, very good for the respiratory system, very good for the lungs. The earth provides us with everything that we need, so find it. I mean, I'm grateful that all this is available now, this space, the options of food is where we are now. But again, my intention, my mission is to help to advance and evolve where we are now. So thank you for having me. Thank you all for participating, and God bless.
All right. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yo, how y'all feeling? Whoa, either the energy low or y'all done used your last breath. How y'all feeling, man? All right, that's a little better. So I was, quite transparently, I was on edge the whole day. For some reason, I decided I could still go to work today, do all of this, and just do it with ease. And I was like, okay, cool. This is it. So that was good for me. So Shamir, thank you. I really appreciate it, brother. Let's get this panel. Let's get the discussion started. The theme of tonight's session is all about finding a safe space. So, and when we say finding a safe space, that can be something that started within, starting with self, finding a safe space within yourself, finding the right community and the right people to connect with, or just environments that help you thrive. So that would be the ongoing theme for this evening. But history, as history has it, we never know where the conversation is gonna actually lead us into. So I'm gonna start by introducing our panelists and have them come up. First, I'm gonna start with Brother Ezra McNeil. And he is a brother, he is from New York, but he went to school in the South.
Not me.
And so I want to just invite him, and I'm grateful that you're here, brother. Thank you for, committing your time. He already mic'd up. Thank you for your time and just being here tonight. So this brother, I try to, usually when I think about this space and what we're creating, what we're doing here, because this is a collective effort. So it's not just me, it's not just the people who are panelists, it is all of us together. When you make a decision to be in this space, we homies now. So for me, it's all about being intentional about the people that we choose to be in this space. So I wanted someone who was a peer, but also thinks differently, thinks from a different perspective. And if you've ever watched this brother or listened to him just speak, you know that he is always 2 steps ahead in some type of way. So when I reached out, I was like, yo, have you seen what I've been doing? Like, would you want to be on the panel? And it was kind of like a no-brainer. It just kind of worked out. So thank you for being here, brother. I appreciate you, man. Much love. The next brother that I'm going to bring up is Mr. Rumando Kelly. Now, this brother is another brother that's from the South. He also went to HBCU like myself. My brother, I appreciate you for being here, man. Thank you for your time this evening. Now, this brother is an actor, model. He also has a master's degree, so he wears many hats. And you've probably seen him in a couple of commercials. You probably have seen him I was in Atlantic City, no lie. I was in Atlantic City, and I'm walking down, like they have the boardwalk and different stuff like that. And there's of course, pictures of people that try to entice you to come into the casinos. I look over, here is Rumando smiling from ear to ear. Him and some lady, and basically a whole shoot. And I was like, bro, no, this can't be. He was like, oh yeah, he was playing it off like it was just something light. He was like, yeah, I saw that. Then I saw him again. I'm watching TV, minding my business, and there's a commercial that came up. I think it was for a Casper bed or something like that. Mattress Firm. And I was like, do I know this dude in the commercial? And I was like, bro, I swear he was just on the commercial. He was like, again, oh yeah, like, yeah, it's something I do. So I want to be intentional about having brothers from various backgrounds and who've had very different experiences, you know, being here in the city or just navigating through life in general. Because we all have our moments and times, and it'd be like, whoo, what? Listen. So again, I thank you, brothers. I really appreciate you all for your time. And this last brother that we have is Mr. Chris Sainsbury. Chris also wears a number of hats. Chris also wears a number of hats. And Chris was about to leave me hanging, y'all. Chris is a co-owner of a CrossFit gym here in Brooklyn. And Chris plays the guitar. Chris does a lot of stuff that people probably just would not know about. And I'm purposely not giving you all a lot of information because I'm intentionally doing that so that you guys can connect with the brothers as we complete the panel. Because that's what the purpose of us all being here for tonight is, for us to connect, communicate, and collaborate. All right? So again, the theme of tonight's session is about finding a safe space. And I really don't need this mic because we're all mic'd up, but optics. So the theme of tonight is finding a safe space, and I thought about this and what it looked like and felt like, and I was like, yeah, we have a safe space. And I was having a conversation with a member of our team, and I was like apologizing because I was like, oh, well, first let me backtrack. Who knows what a safe space is? Or what is your idea of a safe space, you guys, in the audience, brothers? What? Project, brother, because I see you chewing.
All right, so my definition of a safe space is a place where you can be your most authentic self, where you don't have to hide, or you don't have to feel.
Absolutely.
You don't have to even suppress yourself.
Hit the nail on the head. Exactly. So a safe space, from my clinical term, is, and as a therapist, I have to say that because people sometimes are like, what? A safe space is just that, a space where you can be transparent and vulnerable without judgment, a place where there's empathy, where there's respect, a place where there's transparency. And I thought about this and I was like, yeah, that's what the mental mix is. It's a safe space for brothers. Now, the funny part about it is, if you aren't familiar with being in safe spaces, sometimes going into those spaces, it may feel unfamiliar. It may start to feel like you don't belong there. You may start to question why I'm here. And believe it or not, I was having a conversation with Christina, our director and producer, and I was like, yeah, I started off apologizing. I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I haven't been as in tune. We had a few things that we needed to check off of our list. And she was like, no, I get it. And I started to explain. I was like, yeah, I think I've been procrastinating a little bit more because there's been some anxiety around everything that's going on. And when I said that, and I'm just still continuing to talk, and she goes, yeah, it sounds like you've had some imposter syndrome. And I was like, what? Me? Nah, I'm good. So, and this is really me. So I'm like, nah. And that the more I thought about it in that moment, I was like, oh shit. I was like, my anxiety kicked in, and my natural response was to take my time so I don't overwhelm myself, because some of us are very aware. And I was like, okay, but then I was like, whoa, I've literally experienced imposter syndrome in a space that I've created for us to have a safe space. So that just goes to show you that it's not limited to who we are, what we do, or where we may be at the time. Everybody can experience this. So as we talk about safe spaces, I just want to, start the conversation by asking you, brothers, because we've created this space, and now that you guys are a part of this space, once you're here, you can't leave. You're part of this space forever now. But I ask you, brothers, and anybody can answer this, where would you say your safe spaces are?
All right, everybody looked at me. So, how y'all doing? My name is Chris. I would like to say that my safe space comes in a lot of different places, honestly. There is no one specific spot for me. Like, I could be on the train and I can be just writing in notes. And I usually find my best spaces in a space of creativity, or like engaging in multi-mixing in different dilly-dallying in things. Weird, but it's not that weird. My safe space can also be Home Depot. I don't work at Home Depot, but I could walk you through that place like I work there. And everybody's like, yo, that's Chris. And that's the weird thing. The thing, to my point, is like, it doesn't really necessarily mean, it doesn't really matter where my physical body is, it's where I want to take my mind. And how confident or better yet, what skill sets I have to actually like block certain things out.
Do, because I'm a person like I usually function well in chaos. That's pretty cool for me. But I've found that my safe space has been in, like, I'll go to the gym and like nothing else matters when I'm in that space. I be about to die in there sometimes, but that's one of the safe spaces for me. And I think about that because, like, I'll see, like, Ramondo being there nonstop. Like, he been there nonstop, and this dude be running and I'm like, I'm not doing all that, but that's one of the safe spaces for me. And I know y'all both be in the gym. These dudes be killed. So don't let them sit here and be like, they're just like, yeah, like, let's see. Like, is that a space where you guys find it to be a safe space as well, or like what's some of y'all safe spaces?
Well, me personally, I think I'm lucky. My family has always been a safe space for me. I grew up in a household that had a lot of different generations within them. Again, it was something beautiful to see my mother growing up in that same household because of the pictures. Like, I would see pictures of her sitting on the same stairs that I sit on now. And yeah, for that, it definitely brings me a piece of calm every single time I go back home. Anybody who knows New York forces you to experience a level of anxiety and tension and stress, more so because of the ripping and running and just the desire to achieve and continue to be successful. So cultivating a safe space for me, like I said, like I started, I think I'm one of the lucky ones. Home has always been a safe space. The gym, not necessarily so. It's work. Yeah. I mean, again, when I found myself in the gym, like you said, I'm on the treadmill. Usually I'm in there by myself, going hard. The person next to me isn't going as hard as I am, and low key, I don't expect them to. But, I mean, yeah, that's not necessarily a place that I find safety in. But there's something about being at the house and just the smell of the house. I mean, there's a level of familiarity that comes over you, you know. So, yeah, that's safety for me.
I think for me, it has become the gym, but it also has become my church. For me, I'm a preacher's kid, so I've been in church all my life, but it was a time where I wasn't in church because of, you hear it all the time, stories of people, doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing and what have you, and it kind of deterred me away. But then I had to go for myself, and I had to find out that, it's a relationship and it's not everybody else that you could, I guess, follow to get the same thing that you need, right? So being more active in church, finding community there, understanding that there are people that I could relate to, and I could confide in through situations that are good or that are bad. I realized that was a safe space for me, as well as the gym. Just being there, I mean, I could just have my headphones on and not care about anybody else. Like, I'm bench pressing 315, I'm on a mountain. Like, I'm good. Not even trying to boast or anything like that, but you know what I'm saying? No, but just the sense of kind of just being alone while everybody is there, and you're focused on yourself and you're focused on your improvement. that's what makes me like, I'm good, because I'm enhancing, I'm making myself better. And I think that's what a safe space is too.
Like when I'm in the gym. So when I first started out, like really consistently being in that space, and it's been one of those spaces for me. But I think, like you said, once you're locked in and you're focused on your own progress and what that looks like for you, you tune everything else out. Now, before, when I had first started going, I was like looking at this person this way, and I was like, you know, this was before I had my trainer. I was like, was I doing that right? Like this person. When you finally know what you're doing in there, you're focused and locked in, you realize you be like, half of y'all doing that wrong, and I ain't got nothing to do with none of that anyway. But Ramondo, you said something earlier. You were talking about how chaotic this space of New York can be. And Chris, you were saying how when you're on the train, that could be anywhere, Home Depot, the train. How do you prioritize you or your well-being and your mental health in those spaces that you enter? Whether it's the train, whether it's like, you know, I talked about the gym, or like, you know, the music may help. But how do you prioritize your well-being or just your mental health when you enter these spaces that may not be ideal for, you know, I guess the environment that people would think is a safe space? Like the train, I mean, the New York City trains, I would not think that anybody could find peace of mind on the train. But when you explained it that way, I'm like, oh, I get it. Like if you're tuning everything out.
It's not a matter of like tuning out everybody where you're just we're all in the same room together. I feel very safe in this room.
Yeah.
You know, I can express myself, but at the same time, it's common sense, right? That we're also in the jungle of mankind, and anything can happen. It's also just being aware of your surroundings for me, and knowing, and then just having the skill set of knowing that I can possibly get off the train if I need to.
Yeah.
Or if I don't have to sit down, you have the seat. Or let me get up and let you have the seat. Like it's really more about having like the small common sense things that are just not so common to keep myself safe in those safe spaces. And I hope that makes sense. But like,
No, it does. I had a professor who used to say that. She said, "Common sense ain't so common."
It's not that common. Look, I have a 14-year-old, and she brought home the best report card she ever has for as long as I can remember. And I was like, damn, this young lady's gonna make me broke. And so I got on the phone with her and I said, look, I am so proud of every grade that you just brought home, but make sure that you're able to apply that information and understand that you have to apply that with common sense. Because you're gonna find out that some people are so articulate, they may not have a street savvy, anything, and something may miss them because they weren't educated in a certain way. But we could go back and forth with that. But like, common sense is common sense. Is this good for me? Is this not good for me? Should I leave now? Should I not have another? Should I stop my drinking at this point? Should I not invest in this? Should I invest in this? You have to look at things from a well-rounded view and say, how can I win? Where's my win in all of this? Because at the end of the day, regardless of where your safe space is, where are you winning? And what time of the day are you winning? Are you best prepped between 10 and 3? Or are you best prepped between 4 in the morning and 6 in the morning? Where is your on button? And once you're able to start really asking yourself a series of questions and auditing yourself, then you can create your safe space and you can have that common sense. But if you don't know the playing field, you don't know what you're working with, then there is no safe space.
In the church, they call that discernment. In the church, they call that discernment. And I think like that's a true thing. Like you got to be able to have audit that. I call it an internal audit, and that's a whole nother. We'll talk about that later, but that's good. I like that. There was something I was going to ask, and that was related to this. You talked about doing that audit. How do you decide, or like what I said in terms of discernment? And so for those of you who ain't been to church, discernment is something that the Lord bestows upon you. But it's your understanding of when something is for you and when it's not. So how do you guys have that understanding, or how do you come to that understanding of what is going to be a safe space for you, what's going to serve you, or what isn't? Is there like red flags? Y'all remember that social media thing where they kept putting on those red flags? That's so annoying. Just thought about it. But how do you identify those red flags or have that discernment to say like, this ain't really for me?
Take it. For me, I pray a lot. Like discernment, wisdom. Those are things that are bestowed upon us if we ask for it, right? So for me, I'm always trying to be led by God in any sort of way. So regardless of, should I take the Uber this morning or should I just walk to work or something like that? Any decision that I try to make, I just try to confide in God first and then I'll take care of it. So for me, I try to do that self-check through prayer just to see, all right, am I doing what I need to be doing right now or am I putting my, I guess, eggs in the wrong baskets, if you will. Regardless if it's just the people that I'm hanging with, the decisions I'm just doing as a whole, I try to just become aware through listening and being obedient, but also seeing what are the outcomes from those decisions that I make, and if that is really good for me or is it not? So that's how I kind of audit it, or I call it a fruit inspection. If you're from church, this fruit of the Spirit, things like that. So that's the first thing I do. I just try and pray.
Yeah, I always say to myself, I'm a person who I tend to overthink sometimes. Okay, all the time. And if I find myself overthinking it too much, I know right then and there I'd be like, nah, this ain't it. And that's something for myself to where if I have to question it that much, should I? What's gonna be if I'm focused on the outcome and not like the process of whatever it is, I usually take a step back and then I decide like, oh nah, this probably is not gonna work for me. Because I'm a true believer that you probably won't miss any of the opportunities that are truly for you as you navigate through any space that you are in life. And when we talk about like the spaces that we navigate through, how have you guys identified, the spaces that are for you? Like, if you, like you said, like you pray about it, yes. But when you get to that point to where you're like, this works for me, how do you know you're doing your part when you're showing up in these spaces?
Well, for me, it's a level of intention. Really just focusing on the intentionality on not only how you show up, not only for yourself, but for those other individuals who actually need you to. And again, if you aren't your best self, you're doing them a disservice as well as yourself. For me, again, it just starts with that level of intention. And what I mean is just being mindful of you being in a good mood. Because, you and I both know, we've all heard the phrase, waking up on the wrong side of the bed. That's a real thing. And that energy, having that energy that's off can not only affect your day, your mood, those around you, and just sometimes just the outcome of your day. So again, just really being mindful and starting it off with a level of intention that not only will you have a good day, but you'll bring positive vibes to everybody around you, and just being mindful of that. And if somebody comes to you with a level of negativity, just be prepared for that. Like honestly, to combat that negative with the positive.
I call it embracing the contrast a little bit. That's a hard thing to do sometimes. What were you gonna say, Chris?
I'm gonna say anything that makes you chase it, that makes you feel, but it's something that makes you feel good, right? I don't know if anybody, I'll share personal stories, and that's how I like to relate with you guys. Anybody has ever done jujitsu before? Anybody ever got on the mat and rolled with anyone? Yo, I started rolling a couple of years ago. It's the most scariest shit I've ever done in my life. You don't see the fight coming. You're rolling around, scrambling around with somebody. And especially if you get somebody that's skilled or someone that's not even unskilled. You could break your neck, you could break your arm, you could break your fingers. And it could be dangerous if done incorrectly, all right, or improperly, or accidents happening. But it's something that kept me, there's something about it that keeps drawing me and pulling me in and pulling me in and pulling me in. And it's like, I just want to get better at this. But damn, this shit is hard. It's like, you know, it's the same thing about going to the gym. I own a gym. I don't really think squatting is comparison to some, you know what I mean? Like there's exercise and then there's sport. I love sport. I don't consider exercise sport, but it is a sport. Does that make sense? Like, but there's something that I want to keep. It's like playing video games. I want to get to the next level, I want to get to the next level. Damn, this is hard. It's brain teasing. There's a physicality part to it. There's a spiritual component to it, and I'm dialed in. That's in lines of what we're talking about. At least when you ask that question, that's where I want to go. It's like something that's going to keep you going. You know it's challenging. You know it's hard. You know you're going to go and try to find the cheat code. You're going to try to do whatever you got to do to make sure that you have the competitive edge to go to that next level. And it could be reading a book. It could be having the best garden. It could be jujitsu. It could be weightlifting. He said he's at 315. Next week he's at 325. It's the ongoing that's going to keep on making your sword sharper. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean.
No, I like that analogy. So earlier I was talking about a moment that I had with Christina about feeling a sense of imposter syndrome and entering a space. It's still baffling to me. Like what? That I just didn't. I was like, is this gonna serve the purpose that was intended for it? Am I on the right path? And sometimes you know the answer to these things, and it's like, yes, of course, keep going. But the thoughts or like everything externally starts to take a toll. And I think that comes from when you haven't done that internal audit of self, and you're like, you know, I'm used to just going. I was like, I had to take a moment to sit back. But I want to ask, have you guys had moments or a time where you've experienced imposter syndrome in any space that you've entered? And how did you navigate that?
I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna have to think about that for a moment.
Okay.
When you guys want to take that?
I gotta think about that as well.
A question where people are stumped? All right.
No, I can actually say that I have.
Okay.
I'm guilty. And I owe my friends for actually holding me accountable, telling me that I wasn't my best self in this specific space. And like I said earlier, not being my best self, not being my most authentic self, did those who needed it a disservice. And for example, I work with the youth. I do a lot of stuff with the youth, and for the most part, it's basketball. Cool. The reason that we're there is to play basketball. Great. But what I've realized is that presence gives kids an opportunity to share. And once they're comfortable in that space, they may share. They may not, but sometimes they share if they have something that they need to share. So there was a teenager who actually talked to me about drugs. And of course, I went to undergrad, I went to college, I've lived life, I've experienced that from just drugs, cool, alcohol, whatever. But hearing him talk about drugs, it reminded me where I was at that time, and I wish somebody would have had a conversation with me. And the reality is, sometimes those drugs, we're actually using them to suppress the inner voice that's telling us to not do certain things. Again, it was a form of self-sabotage. Again, we know the harm that comes with drugs, but that was just something that I was really happy that he actually had, I guess, the courage to talk to me about. And I realized that I was doing the right thing in that space.
And you're in the right space. Yeah, and it takes moments like that where you're like, I call them, sometimes they can be like tower moments where everything seems to be like, whoa, what's happening here? And you're like, oh, I'm in the right space. Like, I was the right person for somebody to talk to. I was the appropriate person to kind of connect with this person for whatever reason. And I think that's what it was in this space for me. Just realizing, because I had a moment where I was like, I don't know. And it wasn't, the feedback, amazing. The stuff that we were able to produce from this, the, people that we were able to connect, some people that were able to really connect with the actual therapist and so many other things. I saw the evidence of what was working, but something was like, you sure you're supposed to be in this space? Are you sure this is going to continue to be something that works? And I had to do that internal audit to check myself and be like, nah, like we're good. Like, death to the ego, like I'm good. Like we're good here. I got this. Having those moments where I took some time to myself and just was like, all right, don't forget the why, or like why we got started with everything and things like that. So it really be moments like that. And a lot of times everyone doesn't have the tools or strategies necessary to combat some of those thoughts. Because if you live in a city that is as chaotic as New York City, so many things are going on, you wake up to an alarm that is not the one on your phone. It's the police, the ambulance, and everything else that's going on. And then you're thinking about, because rent, I don't know if y'all, where the camera at? I don't know if y'all know how much New York rent is these days. But that shit is stressful. Dog, I could do a whole TED talk on that right now. But if you're thinking about these things, paying bills, trying to get to your next level, what is gonna work for you? How can you still show up and be present for the people in your life that you care about? All of those things, that shit takes a toll on us. And as men, we are expected to show up and perform and be and do, even with all of these things coexisting at one time. Not many times do you see where somebody stops to say, yo, you good? Like, do you need anything? Or like, I'm just wanting to check in with you. So I think when we talk about that and how you show up in these spaces that are meant for us to thrive. And a lot of times, even in these spaces, you'll get brothers that be like, oh, I don't want to say anything. And I'm like, nah, speak up. Even I think me and Chris had that conversation and we were talking and he was like, all right, I'm going to share. And I was like, absolutely. Like, keep it 8 more than 92. Like, keep it real. We want to see that level of transparency and authenticity in what we call safe spaces. And I'm almost getting tired of the buzzword now because there's a few buzzwords that I'm starting to cringe at as it relates to like what we do in these well-being spaces and mental health, because it's such a buzz. But I really want us to be in this space, showing up transparently, authentically, and be in a space to where we can be vulnerable and respect one another and have a level of empathy to be resources for one another. So I really appreciate that. When I think about how we think of safe spaces and what safe spaces are, oftentimes, I mean, that was the first go-to for me when I was like, oh, what safe space, what does it mean for me? I immediately thought, oh, the gym. Or sometimes I drive in my car and I blast my music entirely too loud, but that's a space for me where it just works, right? We don't often, or at least I didn't, think of a safe space as a person. But as I thought about it, I was like, oh, it can be people. Safe spaces are people. So I'm from Savannah, Georgia. I have no family in New York City. I moved here on a one-way flight for $98 and back in like 2014, right? Had no fucking clue. Nobody told me. I went through some times where I was broke. I had no haircut, so many things. But what I found was what was comforting for me was the people that I was connected to. So eventually, like, I started to develop friendships that I've had for almost a decade now. I have my fraternity brothers here who are literally like lifelines for me. Shout out to the news. And I think about that. So I want to ask you guys, who, if anybody, and it doesn't have to be just one person, who was a safe space for you growing up?
Growing up, I think it was my mom. I think it was my mother, for the fact that, I mean, when you're young, you're just like, oh, mom, you don't know anything. She knows a lot. So for her, I began to just be comfortable because you just want to say the good stuff. You want, hey, mom, I got the A on the test. I got the the scholarship award for this and that. That's all great and dandy. Of course, she's proud, but what happens when you say, yo, mom, like, I almost got arrested, or, from doing something that I shouldn't have been doing. What does that look like? I found out that she was safe with me. She was comfortable. She understood because she did it herself. So I understood that my mom is not just somebody that you want to be that you want to make proud, but she's somebody that you can fully trust. And some parents, that I've heard friends that they don't talk to their parents like that because the reactions is just like, I'm not looking for that. All you're gonna do is bash me and then tell me go to my room, and that's that. So for her, it was just like, it's okay. We'll go through it. I had a situation in college when I'm one of the most social guys you ever meet. So in college, it was like one situation where my name was tarnished, and it was not true, right? The only person I could call was her. No one else around me could understand it. So I was like, Mom, this ain't it. I'm about to flip, like breaking down, crying. And she was just like, it's okay, because I know you didn't even do it, because it doesn't even sound like you. And then she prayed as well. It's always prayer. And when I tell you, I was just like, oh my gosh, Mom is everything. She was my safe space, so yeah, love her.
I want to say safe spaces came in so many different people in different chapters of my life. Sometimes it was my father, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it was my mom, but my parents have always played that consistent vein. As I look back, and it's so funny because my parents are in their 80s now, and I'm at this point now where I'm now having to take care of them. So I'm in this very delicate space where I'm not trying to flip out because, like, calm down, relax, because, like, if you ever had to deal with the elderly, it could be a little bit of a challenge. Either way, long story short, but I could remember, like, little things like 4:30, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, my father turning his speaker up as loud as possible, and it would be James Brown all day long. That's my safe space. If you meet my father today, he's well in his 80s. He has sideburns down to a crisp and a short fro. He still literally has his clothes in a plastic bag with crease down to a T from 1962. Not T60, let's say 72. Either way, but that's just the matter of detail he once was or still is. He's my safe space. When I think about my mother and the way she cooks, the way she hugs, the way she smells, and all those, my safe space. My sisters, same thing. Everybody's played a different chapter of safety for me, even well into my teenage years. When my father wasn't around, it was my homeboy's father. And people fill in those gaps because the university understands,
Life teaches us.
Life teaches us. Like the universe will fill in those gaps if you allow it to. But it's just like coming to a stop sign. You got to be able to read those signs. You got to know where left, right, straight, forward, yet, red, yellow, green, whatever. You got to read the signs. But like it wasn't always just family, because sometimes that family was some of the most negative.
That
jazz
resonates.
So like it wasn't always family. Sometimes it was always something. It was something external. So you again, like I just said, you have to be able to read the signs and see what's for you, and then understand the chapter and expiration date on that.
That's a hard thing for me to process. Expiration dates on people. I don't like it. I can be honest about it, I do not like it. Especially if you are, if somebody, say if you have found a safe space with a certain group of people or friends and things like that, for me personally, has been very hard. I mean, these days I'm evolving. But it can be very hard to process, like, oh, this space no longer serves me. And this friendship, relationship, or whatever it is, it served its purpose. And that is a hard thing, what they say, a hard pill to swallow sometimes. You're like, oh. But I think that also comes with this level of comfort that we have with things, and my own attachment styles. So yeah, that's true. Wow. Interesting. Okay. So when you guys think about how you prioritize your own well-being or mental health and how, safe spaces can be identified as people, when we were putting up the RSVPs for the event, there were a lot of ladies that were reaching out. They were like, "Can we come?" And it was like, "No, that's not that defeats the purpose of it being a safe space for the brothers." And the women that you do see are on either the production team or photography or something of that nature. So I had to send an email. I was like, "Hey." I know that you want to support the prioritization of men's mental health and well-being, but there'll be a time for us all to coexist. But right now, that isn't it. And this isn't a specific question for romantic partnerships, but when it comes to your relationships, what does that safe space look like? Whether it's friendships, business partnerships, or your romantic relationships, what does that safe space look like for you? Like, is it support or is it, continued conversations? What does that look like for you?
I think it's a combination of all of that, right? I would say it's one, understanding your personal love language and then expanding from there. But then understanding your partner's love language and then figuring out where that can both coexist in the universe, right? But I would have to say communication, trust. And I think it is easy as it is for us to blurt that out. It's so hard to achieve. Because you also got to understand that other person has different wants, different needs, different things enticing them, or maybe you're neglectful, or whatever. This could be so many different variables. But if without that communication, and I'm talking about constant communication and team building, team building. Don't thinking that you have to team build with your partner. If without that, it's just, in my experience, it doesn't quite work out. All right, but then but they say this about, and it's funny because I like to relate this with dogs a lot, right? Like they say, the more you train the dog, the more the bond comes together.
The women are going to eat you alive.
My
God, I can see it now. They're going to be like, dogs.
No, I'm not saying that whatsoever.
Okay.
And I knew that was coming as soon as I opened my mouth. But at the end of the day, there has to be a level of training that goes on, not for just you,
Yeah.
but for the other person. You got to learn how to coexist with one another.
Yeah.
You have to. And you have to set goals, markers.
Yeah. And you know what I realized too is that even with working with a lot of people, we don't be having those conversations. Not like we think. Our perception be off as hell sometimes. You be like, wait, that's not.
Because you assume.
Yeah.
There's a lot of assuming.
You know what they say about assumptions.
It makes an ass out of you, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
I could say I had a relationship and I sucked at it. Like, I was terrible. All I did was assume, like, oh, she's good. Oh, she's smiling? Yeah, she's having a good time. She's great.
Wow.
I didn't, and all she wanted me to do was just be vulnerable. And I could not do it. Like, she wanted to be my safe space, bro. Like, I'm being real. You ain't shit. Nah, I'm joking. And it was like, it had to be told to me, not through her, because I thought that she was just like, oh, you're asking for too much.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just, you're a woman. You want the emotional side of it. I'm good. Trust me. My cousin had to say, like, yo, bro, you got to listen to her. You got to understand that it's not for you. Well, it's not for you, but she wanted to be that safe space, and I just wanted to be the man in the relationship. I wanted to be just, I got it, don't worry about it. She wanted me to, like, how are you feeling today? Not like, what did you do today, but how do you really feel? What does this look like to you? Things like that. So I had to understand that that's not it. I had to learn how to train myself outside of it, because we're not together anymore. But I understood that, man, the next go around, I gotta do this, and that, not just for me, but also for her, and vice versa.
Yo, I applaud you for that level of just accountability, for one, like, because Man, it take a lot. Dudes, we don't even want to tell you if our head hurt. So when, if somebody's asking you to just be vulnerable or like show up, and I say dudes because a lot of times as men, the socialization of boys into men, we are conditioned to not express the emotions that we have generally. A lot of times we are taught to suppress the emotions and we show up in different ways. So if you, in this, let me do this really quickly. Like, so think about depression, for example, right? What do most people, and anybody can just yell this out. What do you think a sign of depression is?
Sleep.
Sleep?
Yeah. Isolation.
Not taking a bath.
Procrastination.
Okay, procrastination.
Antisocial.
Huh?
Always wanted to be outside.
Isolation.
Alcohol.
Dirty room. Not cleaning up.
Did you hear that one? So for a lot of times, for if the ladies were here, they would talk about, and I get one of the. Aaron, can you just yell out 3 signs or symptoms of depression for me?
Isolation, like you said, always wanting to be outside, avoiding responsibility, avoiding the problem. The third would be a mess.
A mess? And what do you define like a mess as? What does that
It
look
could
like?
be physically a mess. It could be someone who is usually well put together and just like, what's going on? You off today? They're not having an off moment. They're going through something, or your house could be a mess. Your desk could be a mess. Your social life could be a mess. It could be a mess in an area of your life that it is not usually.
And I ask her that specifically because when it comes to men and women, historically, statistically, there have been studies, I think Harvard did a study, to how we internalize and externalize our emotions differently. So it's like depression specifically. A lot of times you'll see sadness that's associated with it and like a mess, like she said. And then Seven just yelled out and he said, always outside, alcohol. For men, it's more external. We get to doing things. We take action. So there's a difference in the conversation that we're having with ourselves and how we project that out into the world. And I literally thought about that way as you were saying this, because there was a moment I was going through it. And I had a relationship, like you had said, I was dating, and it was just not going right. But the thing that was noticed was, well, you always outside. Well, you always got time for happy hour or this and that. But in my mind, I was like, this shit's saving me. In my mind, I was like, this shit's saving me. Like, you don't understand. Like, shit, I can't wait to get to the bar. And that was before I got a therapist and started processing some shit. But, excuse my language, y'all. Sometimes I get a little comfortable in these spaces. But I think about that because a lot of times we don't think about how we operate affects other people and how it may disrupt the safe space that we've created. Because I'm pretty sure that you and this lady that you were dating had a great foundation in the beginning. Yeah. Like you said, you were smiling. He was like, she's good, we good.
She was good.
The whole time she like,
yeah, this nigga.
Yeah.
This nigga, like, yeah.
I ain't want to say it, but
no, like,
that's how it be. It'd be
yeah.
like, yo,
yeah.
I'm trying to build this foundation in this space for us.
Yeah.
And this motherfucker, like, what?
And you know what? I admit I was afraid.
Wow.
I admit I was afraid because what I saw, and honestly, I come from a broken home. Mom and father, they weren't the best relationship. Come to find out years later that grandparents really didn't have that. So I didn't know what, I won't even say real love, but what a foundation really should be for a relationship. Dodging conversations left and right that, what does this look like after school? And I'm like, nah, we good. Yeah, long distance, blah, blah, blah. And that was not it. So I was afraid. So I was outside myself. We've been to places.
We done been
That's
to
how we met.
spaces together when we was turned up. Yeah, I remember.
And I was hiding as well. I hid too because I was like, I'll just text her in the morning. Let me deal with this that way. Yeah, so that That was it, man. I was scared, and I didn't know. And do I regret it? Yes, of course, because she didn't deserve that. But now I learned how to move right, how to move correctly.
I think I'm like, I understand what you're talking about. But I had a mother that was like, when I was 7, 8 years old, my mother was like, you're gonna go see a therapist. You know, and I was like, well, why? Because I'm only seeing it from television. I'm like, she was like, I just want you to start getting comfortable with just talking about your problems and your feelings and everything else. I didn't quite really understand it. And the only thing I could tell the therapist at that point is like, I didn't like my sisters. You know, I didn't really have nothing to talk to them about. Like, so like, you know, at the end of the day, but then now that I'm a grown man and I'm in these relationships, the picture, like, and I'm able to have that type of dialogue, it's not sometimes often received well by that other vulnerable person. Because, and I think it goes back, because then they're also preconditioned to say, oh, well, that's not what men do. Men are supposed to suppress and hold on and not necessarily be like, okay, like this is how we're supposed to feel. It's okay to feel this way and accept this, that, and the third. And there's a little bit of yin yang, and it goes back to communication. Like, you know, show me your mama. Let me meet your family. How were you raised? Those conversations as if we're going to have a child together. As if we were going to have a child together, or we're going to have a long-term relationship, because when you're engaging, I heard something recently. They say a woman can make a man, can make more of. I think it was Steve Harvey, and I'm going to mangle this to a death. A woman has the ability to make a half a man, or a man even fuller than what he is. So at the end of the day, like, you got to have a conversation with that woman or that person that you're in partnership with, as if you're about to go into business, or as if you're about to. I'm looking underneath the hood of my car. I'm doing a full diagnostic test. I want to see your books. Because how you were raised. No, how you were raised, those games you was playing in second grade, the things that came about throughout your life need to come out in some level of conversation, because it's going to come out in that relationship, and everybody's going to mask that shit for a while, and then all of a sudden those demons are going to pop up. Then what you going to do with them then? That skill set in your relationship needs to be there. Guidelines, rules, expiration dates, and standards. We ain't talking to me like this right now. Let's go outside. Let's go have dinner. Let's go for a walk. Whatever the case may be. But you have to audit, you have to go into her shit just as much as you have to go into your own. If you're planning to invest that much time into someone, it's your business.
I love that level of accountability on both ends, especially as a man. Like, I can identify and say, like, there are times where I didn't want to hold myself accountable. I was like, yep, what's the number one thing we say when person's going in a relationship? Like, man, she crazy. Like, she crazy. And it's like, that's not true. Like, now I hate when people say that. And if I hear my boys be like, yeah, she crazy, and I'd be like, and I hear the scenario, I'd be like, nigga, brother, you the problem. I'm like, you the problem. Like, in some cases, not in all of them. Some cases, I'd be like, she the problem. I think you guys should probably talk about what separation looks like. But I guess my next question for you guys, what advice would you give brothers in terms of being able to begin to hold themselves accountable? Or like, how would you suggest brothers start that conversation with self, or doing that internal audit before you get into any space, whether it's relationship, with business partners? Because how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're this way if I see a brother who that's not held accountable in his relationship, who isn't very punctual in that space, complete disregard for the woman that he's with, I would never partner with that brother on anything in terms of business or brand. I couldn't do it. That's just me, because I would understand that how you do this, those traits are going to show up over here. And I'm not your girlfriend. We could tussle. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But it's different. So you got to be able to, like, I respect myself enough to know, like, all right, certain spaces I can't enter. I have that discernment where it's just like, it's not going to work for me. Not saying you're a bad person or anything. It's just like, we don't align at this time. So what advice would y'all give brothers in terms of beginning to have that conversation with self and like showing up and holding themselves accountable?
Someone asked me about 2 weeks ago to actually write down a pros and cons list. And yeah, that Mavericks list is everything. Like, you know, like, and then I went back to school maybe about a year ago. So I'm in school right now, and my professor, our summer session started 2 weeks ago, and the professor comes, older black man, 74 years old, real funny guy, and he says, "What's your 10-year plan?" And I'm like, you know, I'm just trying to get through this class. I'm looking, what's my 2-hour plan? And he's like, no, he was like, seriously, like, what's your 10-year plan? You need to start writing down what you want to achieve and then go after it. And he's talking to the entire class at this point. And he's talking to like how I usually talk to my clients, but it's the truth. You need to write down that pros and cons list and ask yourself, what can I achieve now, later, and over a course of time? And you have to be honest with yourself, because you know your virtues and your dysfunctions. So like, what is it going to take you? And then you could, matter of fact, you write down, hey, I want a Maserati, it's going to take me 2 years. How do you reverse plan that? How do you reverse engineer that? How can you get to that next level?
I heard y'all say, sit down, make the list, pros and cons. I think sometimes you kind of just gotta look yourself in the mirror and hold yourself accountable for not only your piss poor decisions, but the bad habits that, man, are generational curses. Like sometimes you have to forgive yourself for those. I mean, yeah, for those habits, for those mistakes. And yeah, like you kind of got to admit, yo, you got that honest. And I think just as a community as a whole, we put so much pressure on ourselves because we don't, as men, hold ourselves accountable. And again, we put a lot of pressure on women to do the work for us. And I think that's something within the black community that needs to be addressed. Women are tired. And the reality is women are tired because they do so much. They're held to a standard that we don't even hold ourselves to. But I think the first step for that, in regards to holding yourself accountable and understanding that your mental health is a priority, is just that. Look yourself in the mirror and acknowledge that. And the reality of it is, sometimes you have to be somebody else's villain, sometimes you have to be the villain in somebody else's story so you can be the hero in your own.
I couldn't agree with that.
And yeah, I think sometimes we're afraid to do that because of what you said earlier. I mean, just understanding that some relationships have ran their course, some experiences, they no longer serve you. And at one point in time, they were the best thing in your life.
What?
So.
Well, you about to take a church in here. That's true though. That is true. I think I had something happen recently, and I was almost quick because I've been doing a lot of inner work myself, right? So even as a therapist, you know that mental health and just prioritizing our well-being is so taboo in our community that when I initially finished grad school, I was like, I don't need a fucking therapist. Like, I am a therapist. Like, I had the thought process of, if toxic was a person, I was probably it. But the more you start to do, I'm probably gonna do a whole thing on internal audits. I promise you, because that is sticking with me and resonating so hard. but there was a time and moment where I really would rush to either defend myself or be like, no, try to prove that this wasn't what it was. And then you get to a point to where you're just like, okay, like that's your truth from your perspective. I understand it. And you hold yourself accountable for the parts that you do play in some of those spaces that might not have felt comfortable for someone or that somebody didn't like, but you know, pick up the pieces and you move forward. So I can really agree with that when it's just like, all right, I'm all right with being the villain in this story. I've said my piece, I've done my part, and now I'm moving forward. Now that don't mean for anybody who is watching this at home or anything like that, do not mean that be like, yeah, I could be the villain, F you. No, bruh, no. That do not mean don't hold yourself accountable. That doesn't mean don't have the hard conversations, because somebody will watch this and they will send this clip in their little group chat and be like, yeah, bruh, said it right there. No, I did not. I said hold yourself accountable and become okay with the part that you've played, meaning essentially you're okay with being the villain in that story because you've acknowledged your part you've played. I hope I've broken that down for some, not saying y'all in the audience, I'm saying, because I know somebody will come to me and they're going to be like, yeah, you said it best, and you a therapist, so you know. And I've had it happen. So I really appreciate that, and it's a lot of things that most times with us as men, we're not even comfortable having the conversations with each other, let alone our spouses or anybody else. So like a lot of times I'll have these conversations with brothers one-on-one individually, and that was the whole purpose of us like being in this space to where we can have these conversations openly with each other about like some of the thought processes and things that are going on. Because what you find is that a lot of us have shared experiences that we have just never talked about or identified. And I don't mean we all grew up the same, because Chris started going to therapy at what, you say 9 or 10?
Somewhere in like 3rd grade.
Right. Man, if I'm this good now, and this is not a gloating thing, but I've been doing the work. But imagine, and we've had conversations, so I know how grounded and well-rounded Chris is. And, you know, I've watched and observed his approach to some stuff, and I'm just like, oh man, he has it, you know, not all figured out, because nobody has all figured out, but I'm like, I like that, I see that. So imagine if more brothers tapped in to that, how powerful we would be and how much we would enhance each person that comes into contact with us. Because think about how many brothers you know that might have destroyed a whole family or a whole subgroup of friends by something he did or said. Now imagine if that same energy was just guided in a different direction. Do you know the possibilities? So that's what I really want for us to take out of these spaces, these moments in these conversations. I know there were some questions that were gonna be coming from the audience, but I wanna ask one question from you guys, the last question, I would make it, where I'll answer it first and then I'll let you guys answer it. But the question is, or it's not even a question, it's a statement. You finish a statement. I'm at a space in my life where. So for me, I'm at a space in my life where I am deliberately creating the life that I want to live, and I'm moving with good intentions and great expectations. And anything that does not flow, it gotta go. That's hard because, oh shoot, that was mine. That's hard because I am talk about attachment style. Look it up if you don't know what it is. But my attachment styles, I like to hold on to things that maybe once meant something to me. I'll probably be a hoarder once I'm older, but I like to hold on to things, and it's taken me some time to process when it's time to release and let go of some things. Because the sooner that I'm able to do that, I'll allow everything else that is supposed to be for me in this season or in this space to come in. And bro, so this is me speaking from my own stuff. When you release the things that have held you captive, bruh, the blessings be coming in and opportunities and other people show up that you didn't know you needed. You're like, what? What? Even putting this together, there was some stuff that I was focused on that I ain't had no, what the older folks that I know, they'll say, now you doing stuff you know you got no business doing. But as I started to focus on this and deliberately trying to create this space for brothers to have, what happened was everybody that I needed started to show up. And whether it was my friends or associates or anybody that I knew, like my homegirls that I call my sisters, my brothers have shown up for me to do photography and different things. And I'm like, they're like, no, we got you, we'll be there. Like, we see what the vision is. And I'm like, damn, how sooner could we have done this if I was just paying attention and locked in? So I ask you guys to answer or finish a statement. I'm at a space in my life where?
I'm at a space in my life where I'm redeveloping. And within this redevelopment, I'm using my faith and my intention to lead the way. Yeah, that's that.
I'm at a point in my life where I can identify the things that no longer serve me. And I'm doing the work to identify the things that do.
I'm in a place in my life where almost every part of it is under some level of reconstruction or construction. And I can itemize each one of those brackets from any one of my businesses to my family engagements to what am I want to do with my future. So at this point in my life, I'm in a place of just pure construction. Some buildings are going down, some buildings are going up.
I like that. Chris got the analogies for y'all. That's good shit. I like that. I
Uncle
appreciate
Chris.
that, brother.
That's Uncle Chris.
See, you aging yourself. Nobody.
It's all good. It's all good.
All right, brothers, I really appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Even you brothers that are not on this side of the couch. I appreciate you guys for being here and taking the time out. Because again, you guys could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but you chose to be here, and I really appreciate that. It says a lot about you and how, as a collective, we are taking the initiative to prioritize our mental health and well-being. So on behalf of the Mental Mix team and the rest of the panelists here, we love y'all, we appreciate y'all. The conversation continues after this because, you know, you can mix and mingle after that's the mix part of the Mental Mix. So you can talk to some brothers and connect, communicate, collaborate, all right? Much love, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I turned this on.
That's a wrap.